So a few days ago, I asked you guys for your most and least favorite things about being vegan. I said I might make a video. I don't know. I didn't know how many comments I would get. 162. So yeah, I'm making a video. I've read through several, at least the top comments. What does that even mean? Does that just mean most likes? No, it doesn't. There are several with 1 like and then one under with 19 likes. Okay, so I don't know what top means, but so I think I'll start with the least favorite first, realizing how few people actually care about animals, especially loved ones. So I saw this one a lot, and I think most of us would say, yeah, that's the worst part. Loving people dearly while recognizing that good people can do bad things and often do, and maybe someone you thought for sure would have made changes has made none, or has made it clear that they don't even want to hear about it. They just don't care. And I think most people would say, well, it's just a disagreement. Why it shouldn't affect you that much. It certainly shouldn't affect your view of people. But I think the evidence is so clear. The cruelty, the abuse these animals endure, the horrible lives they live is so clear and so obvious. And it's so obvious we don't need to eat them or milk or eggs or anything else. It is different from most, philosophical differences we could have. I think the only thing you can really do, you can be angry and you can hate people, but I don't think that's very useful. I don't think that's good for us, to feel that way. So I think the only answer, and it's true, we're not lying to ourselves, is to recognize that it's entirely possible we could be one of those people who just don't care. Or maybe we care, but not quite enough to actually make changes. There are so many genetic and environmental factors that lead to the decisions we make. It's entirely possible that if something didn't happen to us, something didn't influence us, we wouldn't be vegan. Which means on the flip side, if some sort of event did happen for other people, they would be vegan. I think that's the best way to view it. Obviously, there are people for whom, you can give them infinite timelines, infinite chances to make a difference, to make a change, and they won't. But I truly think most people, given a few tweaks, would absolutely be vegan. It's not nature versus nurture, right? It's nature and nurture. And certainly for many of us, if we grew up in a different environment or we didn't experience or did experience certain things, we would be different, right? And there's a good chance that a lot of us would not be vegan today. And again, a good chance that our loved ones would be. That's how I look at it. That makes me feel better anyway. My least favorite thing is when people like coworkers I don't see every day or don't ever eat with feel the need to interrogate me about my diet whenever food comes up. I don't see why we're talking about this. We don't eat together. Why do you care? Yeah, that's crazy. Maybe they're not interrogating, maybe they're just asking questions. I'm guessing not, but it's possible. We should always try to be charitable, right? And it is a weird thing being vegan. But yeah, certainly I've heard lots of stories like this of people just being assholes just to be assholes. I don't know. Is it the defensive thing? You're making them feel bad? Or is it just you're weird and they need to attack you because you're weird, right? Schoolyard bullying shit. So maybe they're asking questions to learn that maybe you're not as weird and they can still like you. Or maybe that you're not only weird, you're bad too. So then they can hate you and feel okay about it. I don't know. Weak, non-satisfying, or filling vegan options at restaurants, like a big mushroom as a substitute for a burger or cauliflower for meat. Yes. Now we do like the appetizers at Veggie Grill. They have these little cauliflower, do they call them wings? I guess they do. These little fried, cauliflower bites, and then you can choose the dip they come with. Those are really good. I can't imagine having those as part of a meal, unless you're also having it with tofu or something, or some sort of mock meat. I will say I don't see that as much anymore, at least at regular restaurants. I know you have the fancier stuff. I just did that video talking about the 11 Madison Park, is that what it's called? And yeah, it was where's the protein, man? Where's the protein? But that's a tasting thing, right? The point isn't to go and like have a meal and leave, right? It's like an experience. But yeah, like most regular restaurants, I don't know. I don't see the like mushroom burger kind of thing anymore. And I think part of that has been Beyond Burger and Impossible Burger. Like, thank you guys. Because ever since then, I don't know. It seems like the vast majority, I'm in Portland, Oregon. We have a ton of vegan restaurants. Seems like the vast majority have like filling vegan options. Of course, it did suck to see like every single vegan burger at a restaurant change to Beyond Burger. Like Beyond Smash Patty. I don't want fucking Beyond. I liked your burger. I don't want Beyond. Having to pass on free cookies and cakes and donuts at whatever gathering they are available at. Yeah. I will say out here, a lot of times there are other options, like at least gluten-free, which of course could have egg or something in it. So there's definitely a lot of the time a focus on being more inclusive, which is nice. But yeah, when it comes to cakes and cookies and stuff, like that always has milk and egg and shit in it, usually, right? I think the most frustrating for me is like parents bringing cupcakes or whatever for their kid's birthday. And it's like, man, like what if a kid in their class is like lactose intolerant? You know what I mean? I don't know. Like the thought of bringing something for my kid's class and there's even one kid who can't participate. Oh, I want to die. I want to die. That makes me so sad. I would feel awful, but like that's acceptable. Even here, it happens all the time. Parents bringing donuts and shit. And like many of them know my kid's vegan too. And there's another kid, at least one other kid I know, cannot have milk, cannot have dairy, and regularly experiences that as well. Now, luckily, the teachers are amazing and they always have something available, you know, for my kids, like Oreo cookies or something, which is great. But yeah. Also, I wonder for the teachers, like, isn't that disruptive? That would piss me off, but I mean, that's why I'm not a teacher. Everything pisses me off. I would definitely be one of those teachers that's like, no, don't bring your kid cupcakes. Do not bring sugary sweets into my classroom. That's how you get ants. If there are any teachers watching, I would love to know, do you like, or is it just not a big deal when parents bring cupcakes and cookies and shit into the classroom? Or is it like, great, now our whole day is off schedule? I think it's particularly frustrating for me because all of these foods, like they're not healthy in any way and they can be made vegan so easily. Obviously, most people don't know that, but knowing that I think makes it even more frustrating. It's like, damn it, why can't that cupcake be vegan? Really? But also it's a cupcake. I'll be okay. My least favorite thing is that many people simply do not care at all about the impact their choices have on others. Over time, I have perfected my vegan debate lord skills, and the only point I cannot counter is I don't care. That sort of response, like on the one hand, I appreciate it. Okay, you're being honest. And like, what can you do? You don't care. Okay. Other than like, if you think they're lying that they don't care, but you do this, so obviously you do care some, you know, right? But yeah, if someone really doesn't care, you don't need to talk about anything, and then they say, well, what about this? But on the other hand, they don't care, and that's not good. That's really sad, especially if there's someone close to you. Feeling like nobody cares about providing me with an option at holiday meals. Oh, just feeling like an outcast in general, especially around family, because I know they don't care about animals in the way that I do, and I can see their hypocrisies, but won't say anything because it would just start an argument. I will say I've gotten better at dealing with it over time. It's a unique sort of depression. Maybe a good response to the whole vegans are depressed. Well, yeah, maybe. Maybe we are. But it's not, you know, the diet making us depressed. Maybe it's, you know, the whole sadness of it all. But yeah, obviously there's a difference between a situation being depressing and being depressed. I have chronic depression. It's much different from being depressed about animal suffering. But certainly it is depressing, and it's why I really appreciate, you know, groups like Faunalytics, and I think Mercy for Animals has talked about a little bit, Vegan Society, you know, talking about vegan activist, even if you're not an activist, but just, you know, vegan burnout and compassion fatigue and ways to feel better and to feel more connected to people. I personally really like watching just cute, you know, nice animal videos on Instagram. Not like cats and dogs. Who gives a shit? Everyone likes cats and One girl that has a bunch of bugs. I think she buys the bugs, but it is still so nice to see, like, she's got big like stag beetles and stuff, and to see the responses from people saying like, oh my god, I can't believe I love this guy, like what a cutie. And they're sad when they inevitably die because they don't live very long. There's also, of course, lots of rescue farms, pigs and sheep and whatnot, and just the comments from people who love these animals. Yeah, I don't know, that makes me feel much better. Most people would never harm a dog or a cat, and I think most people, if they were regularly around farmed animals, they would feel the same way about cows and pigs and chickens and turkeys, and maybe not fish. It's hard for people to love fish. I get it. Least favorite is being inconvenient to everyone. I hate being like, yeah, I'll come to Thanksgiving, but also let me bring 5 side dishes for my own separate Thanksgiving, or sit here awkwardly. That's why I get so frustrated with the media portrayal. It's gotten better, but still, there's definitely a vegans and even vegetarians who are just like, no, we don't want your gross food. Like, provide us with what we want. When the majority of us were like wrestling over, okay, do I bring something or do I tell them? And so they make me something, but is that going to put them out? Like, I don't want them to feel bad, but maybe it's better if I do say something, because then they'll feel better making sure they have something for me. You know what I mean? I think that's what most of us do. Like, most of us don't want to be an inconvenience. We have a birthday party coming up in a couple weeks, and I was just thinking like, okay, do I text and tell the mom that like we're vegan, or do I just bring some cupcakes and go, whatever, here, I brought some if anyone wants one? You know what I mean? Like, which is, I don't know. Because for me, like, if I were hosting a birthday party and some kid had an allergy or gluten-free or something, like, I would want them to tell me just to make sure they could have options, right? Like, so I don't know. But I think that's what most of us do, right? We don't want to be a burden. Like, we're not going to forego our values for Thanksgiving dinner, but also we don't want to be annoying. Societal pressure and lots of dry bread in a cafe. And no, those are not equal. What's the dry bread? Oh, is it because that's the only thing that's vegan? Yeah, that's probably it, right? I'm dumb. Not relating to people how I used to. My diet inconveniences others when we go out to eat or they make a meal. The worst part is not being able to fully respect people who I would otherwise totally admire. Yeah, so this happens to me fairly frequently. I'm watching some actor or some sort of celebrity talk. I'm just like, oh, they seem like such a nice person. And then it's like, oh, they eat meat, or they even say something about eating bacon or something. And it's like, oh, okay. But again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think we should judge people harshly for eating animals. As awful as it is, again, genetic and environmental factors. And also, it's just so normalized. It's so okay to do so. And in fact, there are people who look down on us, right? I'm sure there are people who are like, wow, you're so cool. And then they find out you're vegan and they're like, oh, really? Dating someone just because they are vegan is plain stupid, but meeting someone who clicks with you on every level but veganism is just heartbreaking. It doesn't help that most vegans around me are just not remotely my age or crazy hippie ladies. I don't know if dating someone just because they're vegan is plain stupid. I mean, what's dating? By dating, I'm thinking like you go on a date, you get to know someone, and maybe it starts because you're both vegan, right? I think that's totally fine. That makes sense to me. But yeah, certainly staying with someone you don't like and you're not connected with, but they're vegan, maybe not a great idea. Side note, I get so fucking angry, sad, or discouraged when I see meat and animal products left out in random places in a store. An animal was killed only for its flesh to be discarded. We were watching some stupid like flipping houses show. It was this mom and her daughter, and they would buy these like really messed up houses. I think it was called like bare bones or something, because often they would strip the housing down, to the foundation or to the framing, and go from there. They went to this one house where down in the basement there was just a freezer full of meat, all rotten. The freezer had been off for some time, and it just made me cry. Living a miserable life, being killed for your flesh, and then it just goes to waste in a nasty basement. Not that eating it really makes it better, but a lot of that goes back to, especially in America, just consumerism, and it's largely perfectly okay to buy food and just not eat it and throw it away, and to go out to restaurants and not get a doggy bag. Just, no, I'm done, leave it. When I get the flu or a migraine, people ask me if it is because of my diet. Oh my Lord. Not to be one of those vegans, but there are plenty of other people with migraines who eat absolute garbage, don't get enough fiber, don't eat enough vegetables. Is anyone asking them how's their diet? I have to eat healthy. Sad face. Least favorite is the super unique textures I can't quite replicate. Gyro shawarma is a big example. Same with cheese. That's like the beef thing, right? I have a computer right here and I'm getting my phone to search. Okay. Yeah, slow roasted meat that's thinly sliced. Depression that comes from being aware of the suffering. For example, not being able to enjoy TV shows where they eat meat. Yeah, so we experience this a lot with Bob's Burgers. Obviously, they run a burger joint and they'll do the meat patties talking to him thing. And it's so funny. Like, it's awful every time. And often there's a Thanksgiving episode. We just skip those. Oh, least favorite thing as of late is many vegan specific restaurants in my area, Long Beach, greater LA area, have closed since COVID. We had a really lovely pizza place, kind of an upscale, like vegan pizza place. The location was really nice. It was nice to eat in there too. It was just, I don't know, it was really airy, and it was called Virtuous Pie, and they closed a little while ago. Yeah. That sucked, man. They had these like garlic bread things. Oh, they were so good. Least favorite, flatulence. I suspect that's probably one thing. Like, vegans are probably more farty. Certainly having like bloating and stuff like that, that should not be an ongoing thing, right? And that's typically only reserved for when you're just getting into eating more fiber, eating beans and whatnot. On average, I would guess vegans do fart more. And that's probably a good thing, to be clear. Just eating more fiber, you're probably going to fart more. But yeah, I would guess there are people who see a stark difference between omnivorism and veganism, and that just like doesn't change, and there's not anything necessarily wrong. Me personally, man, I've always been farty. I've always just farted so much. Oh, I can clear out a room. There are times in the morning when my husband's like, dude, you were just in here asleep farting, and I came down here last night to go to bed and like I had to go back upstairs. Now, there are definitely foods that influence me more. I don't know why, but the squiggly knife cut noodles, whatever they're called from Trader Joe's, the spicy or the regular, oh my lord. Like, not only do they make my stomach almost immediately like, bro, what did you do? But the farts, wow, it's impressive. Have to cook so much. I like cooking, but I'm about to have a baby, and congratulations. There aren't many ready meal vegan options in my area, so I got to pre-make so much and freeze it. Just in general, got to do much more cooking to have a good balance of nutrients and flavors. I don't know, is it really that much more than if you're eating an omnivore diet? I mean, I think a lot of people do go to like eggs because they're so quick and easy, but so is tofu, right? But yeah, meat, I mean, you have to prepare meat. I don't know. I never really considered that like a quick thing to make. I really think just eating healthy in general involves a lot more cooking. Now, if it's just convenience, yeah, there aren't as many ready-made, vegan meals, just freezer meals that you can buy and heat up. There are some. I like the Trader Joe's tikka masala curry, but that's not healthy. But like most freezer meals are not healthy, So yeah, I think no matter what, like, you gotta cook. I got 3 kids too and a husband. Like, it fucking sucks. I cook almost every day. I actually have had like 3 days off. It's been so nice. Usually husband cooks on Sunday, and then Saturday I think I was just like, nah, I don't want to. I was like, you need to cook tonight. Hopefully I said it nicer than that. And then I think Friday we went out to eat. So yeah, I've had 3 days off from cooking. Yeah. Oh, I can't find beef jerky or Funyuns replacement that I actually like. We really like the Louisville jerky. We actually just ordered a bunch of those. First time in a while. I don't really like most of the flavors, but the black pepper, oh man, I could eat a whole bag of that, no problem, one sitting. And Funyuns, man, Funyuns were weird. I've only had them a few times, and I would always start to eat them like, ooh yeah, because there's that very like onion powdery, salty kind of thing. But after like 3, it's like, what? Oh, Side note, have you guys had the new Hip Peas? They have reformulated. It says like more flavor, and I guess there's more flavor, but the main thing is the texture. It's way softer. It's not so like brittle, crunchy like the original. It's really, really soft. It's much more uniform. It honestly seems like, did they change it? Did they like reduce the chickpea flour and it's just like rice flour now? But it seems like the ingredients are the same. But yeah, the texture is much improved. Like they are a dangerous food for me now. They are much more like chips to me now. Not being able to have a cat is a pretty big downside. Aw, there is vegan cat food, but yeah, it's definitely, there's a risk and it's harder with cats. No offense to the pup. Yeah. I mean, look, cats are dumber than dogs for sure, but there's something special. There's something special about an animal that like, do they like me? Do they? I'm not sure. I don't know. Cats are just so weird. Like Sniff, my Sniffy boy, he was so weird. All I would have to do, I would look at him and I'd go, like I was scared, and he would get in hunting mode. He would like lower and his eyes would get wide and he would come after me. It was so scary. This tiny little like 8-pound cat coming after you. I'd run away and hide behind something, and eventually I'd have to like grab like a ruler or something, like, okay, we're done now, please don't attack me. And like now that I have a lap dog, I've never had a lap dog before. I never wanted a lap dog. That just seemed awful. And I have to say, it's not as nice as having a cat who sleeps in your lap like most cats do, right? Like they'll jump up. I don't know. They're really good at making themselves like not known. You know, they just like keep your lap warm. They just sit there and sleep. But a dog, even a really tiny little Pomeranian or something, like they're like moving around, right? They don't get comfortable easily, and I don't know, just like get off me. Like Sniff, I could sit here and work and he would just be on me and it was fine. She's down here in my lap while I'm working. No, number one, she's too damn big. Number two, if I move my hands, she's gonna be like, oh, your hand, give me your hand, pet me. Always having to think about food options ahead of time. I miss being able to take part in certain events/activities without having to worry about whether or not a vegan option will be available. What's it like to just go on DoorDash and pick anything? I have no idea what that's like. I will say, for me, having people worry about you, like if you're not eating or whatever, is worse. You know, I've had so many instances of going to something and, you know, there's nothing to eat, especially when I was raw vegan and I wouldn't eat anything. And for me, it was not a big deal at all. But of course, friends and family are like, why aren't you eating? You know, and they feel bad for you. That's so much worse. And you're just like, no, it's fine, really. And of course, they don't believe you, because if I were in their shoes, I wouldn't believe me either. Going out to eat with omnivore family to this wonderful restaurant, having to pick basic ass oatmeal with water or lettuce for my meal, and answering questions how I can live like this. Newsflash, I can't, and I don't. Realizing I'm fighting against a system whose goal is wanting me to fail. That's very depressing, obviously, but it's a really good way to put it. I don't know. I think that can maybe help with the feeling so alone and feeling like, oh my God, how can everyone else just like not care? Everything is telling them, everything is pushing them to not care and is pushing us to give up. So we should be really proud of ourselves for not giving up, but also lenient with everyone else. Being disappointed when stuff gets discontinued. Yeah, man, I was so sad. I was so sad about the Meat Lovers burgers. Luckily, they did basically bring them back with the steakhouse style or whatever. Hopefully, those don't get discontinued, because man, those are my favorite burgers. They're so good. Feeling temporarily alone when there are no vegan foods, and then I remember there are vegans everywhere and in every profession on earth. Aw, that's a lovely way to put it. All right, let's move on to the happier stuff. Favorite, saving animals, of course. I would say most of the favorites are in that sort of vein, you know, feeling good about not participating and feeling like I'm living with much more integrity than I had been most of my life. Basically feeling like I've shed a huge source of hypocrisy from my life. Sticking to my values feels empowering, and I get to help others while I'm at it. My most favorite thing about it is that dishes are way easier to clean without cooked on egg, milk, cheese, or meat grit. No, I don't like that phrase. I don't know. It's just an underrated pro to not cooking or baking with animal products that never get spoken about. I agree. This is something I've talked about with partner like several times, I think. Just like, man, this would be so much harder to clean. Like baked ziti, I make that all the time with the Miyoko's pourable like pizza cheese. And yeah, it would be so much harder to clean if we used cow's cheese. I absolutely hated scrubbing like baked cheese off of stuff. Oh God. Eating more fiber than most Americans without having to try and having to worry less about food safety when cooking. Yes, on the fiber thing for sure. Like it's really not something you have to think about at all if you're vegan. I mean, obviously you can create a vegan diet that's very low in fiber, but for the vast majority of us, right? Like you just eat vegan foods and you're getting plenty of fiber. And yeah, food safety as well. I think there was another comment in that vein, not having to worry about salmonella and E. coli. Obviously, there's a much less risk of food poisoning. You can still get food poisoning, certainly. Don't make food and leave it out on the counter for a week and eat it. Don't do that. I was watching that emu, what's he called? Chunky Emu or something. There was like corn noodles or something, and they were fermented, I think. And yeah, like the whole family died. And obviously lettuce and other vegetables and fruits can become contaminated because of animal agriculture. But yeah, definitely much less risk when you don't have just chicken in your kitchen. And it's just so gross. I never really made meat like for myself. I don't think I ever did, but I don't know how many of you know this, but my dog Bean Dip, for a time after I went raw vegan, I started feeding her raw carnivore, basically, like feeding her raw meats and pork and shit. And it was just disgusting. I wasn't like vegan for ethical reasons, so it didn't bother me in that sense. But yeah, just from a purely like, this is disgusting. Yeah. Oh my God, the smell. My favorite thing is the fact that certain foods become more of a novelty. I get to be really, really excited about a new chocolate candy bar I can eat, or I get to treasure the vegan macaroons I can only get in New York. Before I was vegan, I never had this type of care, appreciation for special treats. I think that's probably true for us. I mean, I always think of the Reese's, the vegan, did I actually say it correctly? Did I not say Reese's? The plant-based Reese's cups, like that was, partner said like several times, like, I never thought we would have Hershey's. Like I could never have imagined this, 10 years ago, that we would have a Hershey's branded vegan chocolate, like that was just so cool. I don't know. I can't imagine having that sort of response to any food if I weren't vegan. So yeah, that's an interesting positive. I like that. Discovering more unique and creative ways to bring flavors and textures out of food. That's really nice. I wish I could relate to that, honestly. Like cooking is just whatever. I just hope I make something and it tastes okay. I wish I could enjoy it more. Lots of excited about trying new foods comments. Best part is how proud I feel to stand up against a truly ugly social norm. It has opened my mind in many other areas of life as well. It definitely did for me. When I switched from, just a health, like raw vegan or mostly raw vegan or whatever, to like ethical vegan, this is why I do this. Slowly but surely, I started moving away from like Ayn Rand objectivism. Like it didn't fit, and it made me more compassionate all around, and made me realize that like, hey, maybe a welfare state is like, okay, maybe we should want to help people who need help. And maybe we should want to live in a society where people don't fall through the cracks, or fewer people at least fall through the cracks. And also learning more about genetics, the whole pull yourself up by the bootstraps, which is very like objectivist, just didn't seem fair at all. Some people are going to be able to do that. Some people are not. And I don't know, shouldn't we want to help them? When family finally gets it, I went from being the nuisance at holidays to all but one brother converting. Oh, that's so lovely. Thank you for sharing that. That's so nice. I hurt no animals. This makes up for everything. There are a lot of comments like that too, from people saying least favorite, but their favorite just totally outweighs, any disadvantages. Oh, I can almost always share my food with my pets. Rabbit, cockatiel, rats, they can all get different stages of what I'm making. Oh, that's so sweet. I love it. We actually just caught a little mouse, like that big, tiny little guy. And my partner got like a little plastic, container for animals from Goodwill, because we often catch a little mouse once it starts getting cold in our humane mouse trap. We put peanut butter and it traps them in there, and like we can't take them out away right away. So he got this little thing, and he's got some like food in there. So we got to see the little guy. He had some little piece of dog food and some little bits of strawberry and apples. So cute. But yeah, he and my tiny one just left to go find the little guy a new home, or girl. I don't know. My middle child was like, oh my God, we have to keep him. Come on, we need a pet. Like, dude, we just got a dog. How much money I save and how much better I feel. Genuinely, I've gone back and forth between vegan and vegetarian, and there's a measurable difference both ways. Oh, that's great. That I love myself for being moral. Yes, morally superior. No reason to hide or deny it. Yeah. It's tough. Again, I think we should be proud of changes we've made, and certainly being vegan is better than not being vegan. So, it's kind of like, it seems kind of like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth when you say, no, I'm not morally superior, but also I'm doing this thing that like virtually no one else is doing that is morally superior to the thing they are doing. This is why I prefer to talk about actions as, good or bad rather than people. I think that's a lot messier and, involves a lot of hurt feelings, right? And a lot of judgment that maybe isn't necessary. But yeah, I think we can feel proud of ourselves while, again, also recognizing there are so many factors going into us, making us who we are. And maybe if other people had the same upbringing, for instance, as we did, they would end up in the same position. I mean, look, I had friends who pretty much they hit 18 and immediately had to get a job and support themselves, right? Like, I did not experience that whatsoever. My parents gave me so much room to learn and grow and do what I wanted to do. And like most people did not have that kind of upbringing, not to the degree I had it. So yeah, I think it's pretty unfair, at least for me, I'm only speaking for myself, to be harsh on people for not, being as awesome as I am. And in other ways, we can just not compare ourselves, right? We can just compare ourselves to ourselves. And I know being vegan, I'm a better person than when I wasn't. Most baked goods are off limits, so I'm healthier. That's a good way of thinking about it. Glass half full sort of perspective. I like it. But also I can't relate. I want all the treats, please. My grocery bills aren't as high as my omnivore friends. I saw a couple others about cost too, about it being less expensive. Don't eat out as much either because there aren't many vegan restaurants or options in my area. So all the money I save I can use on treats and craft supplies. Aw, adorable. Health benefits. Sure, there's a lot of vegan junk food out there, but overall, I found eating healthier comes more naturally on a vegan diet. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I mean, definitely that's what the research we have shows. Replacing meat and eggs and milk with grains and legumes and fruits and vegetables. Yeah, a lot better. My autoimmune that nearly crippled me is now in full remission. I'm healthier than I've ever been. Oh, congratulations. I felt myself, the animals, the planet. I don't have a least favorite thing. Oh. Well, you win. There are so many more comments. Thank you so much to everyone who left a comment. That's so nice. And I'm glad I did the least favorite first and ended with the most favorite. That was really nice to read. Thank you guys. As far as me, I actually didn't think about this. I maybe should have done that. I maybe should have answered this for myself. Least favorite is easy. It's animal suffering. I want less of it. I want everyone to be vegan, And I guess more specific to me would be raising kids vegan, like the party thing, just the social stuff. Even though my kids are just so great and just, I don't know, seemingly have no qualms with being vegan, like that could change. And I would hate for them to feel left out and different. And, like that part of it, I really hate. Most favorite, besides animals, of course, and doing what I know is right and, feeling good about myself, would be raising vegan kids, honestly. Like, I'm not gonna cry. Lord, can I just get through a few sentences? Seeing my kids being so young and yet doing what they know is right, and they're just so smart and they understand so much. Hearing that my 6-year-old turned down a treat at school because they weren't sure that it was vegan. Their sibling told me that, and it was like, oh, you did? And they were like, yeah. And it wasn't like they thought they'd get in trouble or something. It was just like, yeah, they didn't want to eat something that wasn't vegan. It's like, what? At 6 years old? That's just so impressive and inspiring. And yeah, they have made me a better vegan, a better person. You know, there's a spider. There were two spiders in our kitchen, two big ass spiders. And I was just like, they're fine. Just let them be there up in the corner. Now, one did get low under the cabinets and there was a bunch of web. I was like, okay, somebody's got to help me with this. Like, I can't, I'm going to touch the web. I'm going to freak out. Again, watching these like insect, even spider videos on Instagram and not being like, oh my God, I need to flip away. Like, that is not something I would have done 2 years ago. You know, that is because of my oldest and their love of insects and love for insects. Anyway, thank you so much for being here, guys. Again, thank you so much to everyone who left a comment. And yeah, if you want to leave a comment on the video and let me know your most and least favorite thing about being vegan, please do. And of course, thank you so much to my members here on YouTube and my patrons at patreon.com/unnaturalvegan. I do post 2 exclusive videos a month for tier 2 and up members and patrons. I do a vlog and I do a controversial topic towards the end of the month. And yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much. New video soon. Speaking of minor inconveniences, I went to make a cake and went to Fred Meyer to get some Miyogo's butter and they were totally out. That was annoying. It was partner just calling me to tell me that Walmart doesn't have Miyoko's either. And I was like, oh, I went back to Fred Meyer and they restocked, so it's all right. I got my Miyoko's. Willow is the cutest dog in existence. She is pretty darn cute. Literally right after filming this, I took her for a walk and a woman in her car stopped next to us to tell me that she's the cutest dog. What?